What is going on, everyone? DJ's here today on this beautiful day, bringing you another... This game, though, it's got a little more spice than usual. Got a little more heat to it. You see, if you look at this map right here, there's something here called a Missile Silo. Some of y'all probably haven't seen this stuff since Advanced Wars Dual Strike Easy Mode or from Advanced Wars 2. Like, you don't see this stuff in competitive play ever. So I figured I'd throw something in there, review a competitive game with Missile Silos, which I don't think has ever been done before, at least my supervision on YouTube. So I figured we'd analyze this game right here. Now for some background, this game was played in the same tournament as the DeadFS Witty game that I showed this last replay commentary on Golden Wheel. I don't know the name of this map because you'll probably never see it or hear of it again, but this is the round before that roundup. So this is earlier on, I think like quarterfinals or something. So this is a live tournament like the other game. So, you know, live tournaments, a little more mistakes. And the competitors, we have Talose. You guys should be familiar with Talose. He was in both the Grandmasters tournaments, the first and the second. Finalist in the second. And Rader Elcaroman, who was in the first Advanced Wars tournament, Advanced Wars Grandmasters tournament, rather. And he lost in the first round to the eventual winner, Sif. He's no slouch either. And so both of them happen to choose Lash on this map right here. So before we get into the map itself, or the game itself rather, I want to discuss Lash. You see, Lash isn't a CO that's very often picked, and I want to go into detail why. So the thing about Lash is she's not picked very often, and you might have realized, but I think the only game I ever showed Lash as a CO in my replay commentaries was a game where I picked her myself versus Monty Sigurdsson. Now, Lash is an interesting CO. She's completely reliant on her day-to-day abilities as her strong suit against the other COs. You see, COs like Drake, you know, global damage can stall a bit, Andy can heal all his units, etc. And Rachel, you know, with all the missiles and whatnot, if it gets a little stally, they're all fine, but Lash relies on quick, early fighting because her basic boon is her day-to-day ability, which basically grants 1 terrain star for every terrain you're on. On average, I'd say that's about 15% extra firepower. So Lash is basically a CO with 15% firepower. On average, you know, averaging out attacks on forest with 20%, plains with 10%, roads with 0%, mountains with 40%, and cities with 30%. I'd say on average, combining all of the terrain, I'd say around 15 to 20%. Let's round down to 15% to be conservative. So sure, her units have a flat 15% firepower bonus, which is better than Hawk. Better than Von Bald even. But the thing about Lash is her powers are not quite nearly as good as the other COs. That's why you see her in battles where there's a lot of early fighting in action, where she can do a lot of damage early with her 15% firepower bonus. This completely contrasts with the idea I think most people have about Lash, that she's a defensive CO, because her Super CO power gives her double defense on terrain. So if you're on an HQ, you have plus 80% defense, and then another 10% on that for using the power. So she seems like a defensive CO. But in actuality, she is one of the most offensive COs, I'd say right there with Kindle in Tier 3. So she's a very offensive CO. Now, why did they choose them for this map? Well, if you look closely, it is a 2 base and airport versus 1 base map. That's right, 2 bases and an airport versus just 1 single base, which is crazy. I love games like that where it's like just overwhelming one side, and then, look, the HQ is also there. So it is like an HQ rush sort of map. And if you know me at all, I love games like that, so I couldn't resist reviewing this game. Now the catch is you have a Missile Silo in defense. The efficacy of a Missile Silo to me is sort of like a bell curve. It's not very effective at the beginning, has a nice sweet spot, and then it doesn't really get effective at the end when your opponent has so many units. So the thing is, like, when you use it very late on in the game, you're going to do a lot of damage. But the thing is, usually the game has already kind of been decided at that point, if you know what I mean. Whereas if you can strike early with the missile, maybe it could snowball to something bigger. And if you just use it at the very beginning to interrupt caps, I mean, that does do a little damage temporarily at the beginning, but I feel like you have to wait for that sweet spot. Somewhere like, I don't know, turn 7 to 10, if I'm just going to, you know, ballpark it. But I feel like Missile Silo efficacy is like, there's a sweet spot for it. You don't see it very often, so it's very situational, and I could be completely wrong in some instances on certain maps, but in this instance, I think you want to hold on to this defensive Missile Silo in the mid-game until it can get some nice usage, get a few units attacked by it. Doesn't really have to interrupt too many caps, just weaken the opponent enough to deter them. The other thing about the Missile Silos is, although they are located defensively, 1 base versus 2 base in airport, you can use them offensively. You can launch the silo over here on your opponent on their defensive front. So I kind of lean towards using it on the offensive rather than the defensive. You might be able to hit more units on the defensive because there's 2 bases in airport coming in, but at the same time, I don't know, I'm just an offensive player. I want to rush forward to the HQ, so typically I would, unless there's like a golden opportunity, I probably would launch this on the offensive and go for the HQ rush. But that's just me, maybe. If you're like, if your opponent's like knocking on your HQ's door, maybe you need to, you know, shoot off the missile silo to survive and go for it. But yeah, that's how I probably would use it. But I think each of these players has their own way they use this missile silo, so we'll find out. There's actually also other neutral missile silos, although this one is definitely trending towards penguins and this one's trending towards purple. So each side's typically going to get 2 missile silos. And of course, you guys have probably already noticed there's some comm towers in the corners, but they might not matter too much because these games are probably going to go by quick. So investing in like an APC or moving your infantry all the way out there, the game might be decided even before that. So these comm towers are not critical in this game by any means, but they're still nice to have. So we have 2 lashes. Talose, as I said earlier, you know, very strong player, known for his positional skills. He's just very good at positioning his units. That's how he basically almost beat Sif in the first Grandmasters tournament, and then he got to the finals in the second Grandmasters. Just very good about locating units and positioning them for walls and whatnot. Rader Elcaroman, he's just, you never know what you're going to get with him. I think he's a very strong player overall. He tends to, I don't know how to describe it. He's just a wild card. I like him as a player and as a person. He's a good player. So without further ado, let us get into this game, because this game is bonkers. So our game starts out with Mr. Talose controlling the purple Frenchman, and Mr. Elcaroman with the blue pushy penguins. Typical infantry development. Talose does a little fake over here. Clever girl. And you go for the base first, no questions about it, but he's faking out the airport first. That doesn't make any sense though. If there's a base and an airport to choose between, you always go for the base first, as you can see right there. Just faking them out. Elcaroman probably didn't even give half a shit, but you know, sometimes people like being feisty with their first infantry. Elcaroman skipping this cap over here to move his infantry up here to interrupt that base or to get that missile silo. Talose spotted that last turn instead of capping because he went over here. So he built a recon, which is basically going to block any infantry interference. Although even if there wasn't a recon here, that infantry would lose to a lash infantry on a base versus an infantry on a road. Even with the first strike would lose. So interesting thought, but I guess also just going for the missile silo as well. I think Elcaro got a little greedy with the missile silo early. Yeah, trying to threaten the missile silo right here. But I don't think Talose is going to let him get that. Clearly just blocking off the missile silo, not worth it at this point. Pretty typical other than that. I mean, looks like Elcaroman he's going to get this missile silo though. I mean, this one belongs to Talose up here and this one belongs to Elcaroman, so it's just typical development. I think Elcaroman got a little greedy over here. Can't really attack this penguin here right now though, because it has to stay on the missile silo or else it would give it up. So, interesting little thought right there. Have a tank and a recon on the strong side for Mr. Elcaroman, and this infantry's going over there for that chain over there. Nothing too diabolical, too crazy going on so far. Talose going for this corner over here, Elcaroman go for this corner. Seems like that's how the corner should shape out, although this base will probably cut him off somewhere in there. Nothing too radical going on right now. Building a tank on the weak side, whereas Elcaroman is just basically going all in on his strong side. So most of the battle is going to be happening in this quadrant over here on the bottom left, which plays into Elcaroman's favor because that's his strong side, and he should eventually overcome Talose, theoretically. So pretty good start for Elcaroman, pretty good start for Talose. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I would say Elcaroman has a slight lead just because of where the fight is going to be taking place, is where he wants it to be taking place. Although it was kind of dingy to lose that infantry. Not lose the infantry, but it kind of like, you know, its potential kind of wasted a bit. I mean, it forced a recon, but I don't think it was quite worth it. I mean, this is a live play, and neither of them have ever played Missile Silos before. And then Talose gets off the first shot over here, going after Elcaroman's strong side. Now, like I said earlier, typically you want to use this on the offensive, but I understand the need to use it straight away. I mean, he could have sat on there and then used it like a couple turns later, but it would also, if using it right now, frees up the infantry to capture this property or kill the infantry, or to capture this property over there. So I understand the usage on his weak side. Tank also gets a nice little hit off there. You know, temporarily stops the full force of Elcaroman's strong side. I mean, it's just temporary, of course. This is just temporary. But, you know, not a bad usage. I understand. He kind of was, you know, pushed to do it early because Elcaroman has a lot of pressure on that early silo. Whereas over here, Elcaroman can probably take his time with the silo. He doesn't have to use it straight away. Let's see what he chooses to do. I don't really see a great target to hit that silo right now, so I don't think he wants to use it this turn. He probably wants to wait until there's more tanks in play. Yeah, just sitting on there right now. Not using it quite yet. He can go cap over here, interrupt this property over there, and then use the next pushy penguin to use the silo. Nothing too insane right now. Just going all out over here, but we do have a couple tanks on Elcaroman's weak side and Talose's strong side. Nothing too insane. Talose is a bit ahead on development down here, whereas Elcaroman is a little bit behind due to the recon. But that's, you know, not too insane. This tank gets a free kill off on that. Infantry right there, like I said earlier, like that tank can get a first strike from the planes with a 10% bonus, but you're fighting a tank with a 30% attack bonus and 30% defense. And no comm towers, so first strikes aren't as overpowered without comm towers, so I think that tank that has the city, even if it's attacked first, it will win the engagement eventually. Whereas if there was a comm tower, I think that the one that gets the first strike would probably win in that scenario. So Talose is getting a little, you know, feisty over here. I probably would have gotten a little more defensive, saved this infantry, maybe put it a little more defensive positioning, because that's not going to happen. Like, look at all these infantry and the tanks and whatnot in the recon. Like, that's not going to hold up. Like, he doesn't even build a tank to back it up. Like, that tank's a sitting duck to be killed this turn. I probably would save everything I've got on the weak side and make a wall as long as possible, rather than, you know, try to overextend a bit. Like, this is overextending, even though it's not far from his base. Like, hello, there's a base right there, one turn away to interrupt that cap. You're never getting that property. Like, purple is getting that property and blue is getting this property. There's no way around that. It doesn't matter how bad you are, how good you are. That's how the game will go. And Elcaroman, bleh, this tank over there. Similar to what Talose did over here, and then he's going to get his first strike on that tank and win the engagement, probably knock it down to a 2 or 3. Same thing, a 3 and an 8, and then the anti-air covering up. But Talose might have some counterplay where you can kill with the copter and then block with some infantry. Like I said earlier, Talose is the king of positioning, better than any positioning person I know. So yeah, you don't want to mess with Talose when it comes to infantry walls, positioning, kills, and then blocking follow-up attacks. He's just an expert at that. You do not want to mess with him with regards to that. Building a recon? I mean, I don't really like recons after like the first few turns, but you know, whatever. Probably just wants to put some early pressure down here. Actually, you know, recon makes a little bit sense out down here. I take that back. Recons are pretty decent in the mid-game. If you want to pressure this area in the corner. So, pretty typical development. Talose is got this corner first. Elcaroman kind of deserted this corner over here, so he's a bit behind right now. Talose is going to get that comm tower first, or property first. It doesn't really matter too much. I mean, the comm tower is nice, but it's not game-changing by any means. But he has 3 penguins hot on his tail, so we'll see if he's able to actually sustain this, because he's got, you know, a base coming right back here, and that's his weak, or that's one of his bases. He probably wants to focus on the attack, so nothing's probably going to really come from down there. Whereas Elcaroman has this like little corridor where you can attack that infantry. So I think that's a temporary win in the corner. Whereas Elcaroman's taking his time, maybe moves both of these penguins up there, maybe just moves one up there. We'll see what he does. But Talose does have this copter over here. Let's see how he uses it, whether he blocks sufficiently. And he does? Yeah, I don't think... No. Penguin, kill... Let's see. Let's see if he can break through that. There might be some rolls involved, but there is no tower. So let's see if it's a kill. Ooh, no tower. If there was a tower, that would be dead 100%. You move this tank back, and that's a one-hit KO. So Talose probably knew this. He probably realized there was no tower, and that's why he felt so comfortable with the copter right there. So great move by Talose, positioning-wise. And it looks like Elcaroman, yeah, just chilling over here, going for the purple properties rather than the neutral ones in the corner over there. No shame in that. Gonna quickly overcome this over here, start capping. So he's already taken control over here. Talose had a nice lead over here and was also winning up here, but now Elcaroman is taking what's his back down there. And if you look at the property count right now, pretty even. Elcaroman is a little bit behind, but you know, it's one property that you can attribute that to like who's player 1 and player 2, if it's within 1 or 2. Like it changes every turn. Like he's gonna cap probably at least 1 or 2 properties next turn, so pretty dead even in terms of property count. So Talose is going for the comm tower first. Prefers the firepower and the boost to his attacking forces rather than the 1k income. Gets a few little cappy poos and positions his tank on the city. You can't really interrupt that. I mean, a lash tank on a city, like you don't want to get a first strike on that unless you have a comm tower. And Elcaroman is nowhere near to having a comm tower for at least the next 4 turns at least. So Talose definitely has the firepower advantage soon. I would say Talose is probably better positioned right now. And it seems that Elcaroman is pretty much all in down here. Talose is like half and half, two tanks, where Elcaroman is one tank over here, one tank over here. So I guess he got one that was killed, but Talose is a little more split forces, and Elcaroman's going for the all-out attack over here. I mean, he has a couple things to fight off, but like, just very slightly, I would say. Now Elcaroman seems to be going for the corners. Gets the property over there. Now we have an income split. Now he's going full force in the corner. That comm tower is going to be not interrupted, but a couple turns after that, Infantry's going to be dead. Sending a tank, that's a pretty big investment for Elcaroman to send that whole tank up here to stop anything in the corner. It could be doing a lot more damage down here, but I guess he's viewing the long game. If he kills off this infantry, he'll have nothing. I mean, this one over here is probably going to cap that. This recon is not going to do anything to a tank, so Elcaroman can win this corner, but it is a bit of a 7k investment, and that could be doing a lot of damage down here, so we'll see if it's worth it. Elcaroman bringing in tanks. Now they're both kind of going even Stevens on the fronts. Neither of them is going too heavily invested right now. Talose drawing even on the caps. Oh, and goes for an offensive fire. Good job. I like going for the offensive fire. Probably going to kill off that anti-air and get a nice clean hit off with that copter. Good positioning. Gets a kill off on that infantry. Doing pretty good on the unit count. Not spectacularly, but doing pretty good. I like that usage. I think that one was a much better Missile Silo usage than the first one. But the first one, he was kind of he was kind of forced to do it. His hand was kind of forced, so. I don't know about this. It's kind of random. Going over here for the middle over there, like, that might be overextending a bit. You should be focusing on your defenses rather than, I don't know. That just strikes me as overextending. He probably doesn't want to have this corner overrun, but that's going to happen regardless. This tank is not going to go all the way to the corner over there. That just does not make sound sense. Sends a Missile Silo over here. Kaplausler, doing some damage. Nice KO right there. Nice coverage by the copter. You can't get any free hits off. There's no way you can block it with just this one infantry right there. So it will be able to get a nice free kill off on that on that tank without any copters coming in without getting blasted the next turn. Penguin coming in slowly but surely, doesn't want to get a first hit strike to get him down to 8 HP and slow him down, so I understand that. Pretty standard stuff. And yeah, this tank got coverage on this infantry over there. I mean, like I said, Talose should back up. I don't think he should overextend over here. I feel like this is getting really scary over here, and I don't know if he wants to get overextended over there. But we shall see. But Talose is looking pretty scary on his strong side over here, though. I mean, he's got 2 copters and a tank. And a medium tank. Oh, boy. Okay, so now he's getting a little... He's going all in on his strong side over here. He's not going even Stevens anymore, which is fine. All missiles have been expired, or used, rather. I don't know. Very strong word usage, expired. Expended, I should say, not expired, expended. So you can do without fear clumping your units together. That's kind of why I like to hold on to it a little bit longer, maybe. And then it kind of forces against infantry walls and the like. I mean, I don't think artillery are particularly strong on this map. They could be on the 2-base side, forcing an artillery here and base locking. But no artillery so far. It's a live game. Artillery also not quite as good in live games. Going for the kill over here, but also leaving this infantry completely undefended. I mean, if you had one of those anti over here, it would at least, dissuade these copters from just killing that infantry easily. Oh, builds another one. Okay. Although it does not have coverage, so that didn't really matter. I think he should have left, like, the 3 HP one here. With 5 HP, deters any copters attacking that turn. So, just nitpicking. Getting these 2 properties, they're going to be his. I mean, Talose is going to take those 2 properties. This is part of the base trades, The thing about this, compared to other normal base trades, is the one base this time has an HQ. Usually the one base doesn't have an HQ. So this makes it a lot more important to be on the offensive. So Talose, killing that free infantry over there, no worries at all. But the copter's coming in, saying, nah, you're not getting this corner too easily. It's in 7 HP copter, though. It can pretty easily be picked off by, like, infantry, like, firebacks, counterattacks, rather. So it's not too big of a threat. Now Elcaroman seems to be, like, holding back a bit. Basically has control of this corner. I mean, that copter can interrupt some stuff, but it's not going to stop everything. This corner is completely Elcaroman, so Elcaroman is definitely playing the long game here, it seems. Builds a Neo-Tank. Sees that medium tank and builds a Neo-Tank. Can't disagree with that. Maybe I would have built a medium tank and built another tank to keep up the pressure on the strong side. But, medium tanks are pretty damn cool. So That's all I gotta say. Yeah, if you build a medium tank right here, you can just plop it here, and then that tank is going bye-bye. So, medium tank here might have been a little bit better, but, you know, medium, I can see the appeal of a Neo tank. The HQ, a little precarious. I mean, he's got 2 infantry starting getting there. I think these 2 are going to move over this way as well. So HQ cap is really real on this map, if you guys haven't noticed. I mean, there's a lot. You're outnumbered with blue to purple over here. You're outnumbered with purple to blue over here. Although right now it's pretty even, I'd say, but soon this will swell, and soon this will swell as well, and you'll see the total... Oh my goodness, 1 shot with that beautiful comm tower and on that 30% bonus from the city right there. Ooh, that's a devastating attack. Neo tank will get a first shot off onto that medium tank. So it's not all is lost. Both are very close to their superpowers, if not already. I can't really properly read this. It looks, yeah, they both have their superpowers. I don't really see any great usage of it yet, though. I mean, a lot of times in the higher levels, you want to save your superpower until you have like a concrete idea how you're going to use it. So I'm going to capture the HQ, then pop it. So I can go across these forests and get a nice one-hit KO I couldn't normally get. Usually don't just pop it for the hell of it, you know, like, sure, like, you waste some charge, you're not going to get some charge as early as possible, but I feel like quality over quantity. Maybe you'll get 1 less superpower than you would in a normal game, but you're going to have 1 really strong superpower. I'm on the, like, hang on to your powers till they have, like, applicable value, rather than spamming for the 10%, and whatever things. So, I don't think you should use it this turn. He uses it. Whatever. Yeah, so we got an extra, like, 30% firepower. 10% from the power itself, 10% more from the planes. So it already had 10% from the plane, so it's got 30 total. So, like, great, but that was, like, I mean, it knocked it to 3 instead of, like, 4, and it knocked it instead of 9 to 8. So, like, cool, but we'll see if Talose does the same thing. I mean, this recon can also, like, whoa, you see that? Yeah, force and stuff don't matter. That's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm not 100% happy with that power usage, but each their own. I mean, you're gonna get this comm tower. Elcaroman's about to get both comm towers, but this is looking pretty dire. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. This probably is gonna die. 4 units versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know if I counted that one already. 14 to 15 units to 4. That's going to die. So that's scary. I don't care if you have Neo tanks. I don't care if you have Mega tanks. I don't care if you have bombers. That sort of unit count is incredibly scary. Although Elcaroman does have more units total, it's because they're more dispersed across the map, whereas Talose is very hyper-focused on his strong side. He's just clumped up in his weak side over here. Like, he should have done this earlier. I don't know why he was going little recon sorties over here, but, you know, he finally seems to understand what's going on. Let's see if he pops his own. Actually, this is not going to die. I guess he's going to prioritize the cap over actually killing that. I probably would have killed it, to be perfectly honest. Only does 1 damage, so maybe that power looked good there. Talose looks like he's holding on the power, though, to get that HQ cap, though. And once you have an HQ cap, infantry capping, they have 90% defense after a superpower. And a tank only does 7 to 8% or 8 to 9% damage. So it takes 2 tank hits to do 1 single damage to an infantry. So, that is scary. I can see why Talose is holding on to it. I think Elcaroman probably should have held on to it earlier, and then even a defensive one. Like I said earlier, Lashes aren't really a defensive CO, but if you put that Neo tank with 80% defense, that's never going to die on the HQ. So, I feel like a bomber might be in play for Talose, but he builds a copter instead going for a little spreading the funds even. Actually, wait, what? Doesn't build anything, doesn't have enough funds, but smartly, very smart. A lot of people, if they don't build anything on the base, they can get base locked extremely easily. He notices that. Plots that right there. If Elcaroman put a tank there, it's probably GG. G-Jizzle. Like, that's smart move by Talose right there. A lot of people forget that. I believe Woody lost the last game almost entirely. Not almost entirely, but a lot of it had to do with him losing that base because he had nothing on it. He should have just left an infantry there. Anything. It's a smart heads-up play by Talose. You expect this from the best players. What can I say? So now Elcaroman's about to have 2 comm towers to 0. And smart move. Neo tank on there. 40% defense, not bad. And Talose has no firepower bonuses, no more comm towers. Another Neo tank. We got double Neo tanks. We got really quality over quantity right now. A lot of units though for purple. Like you can block a lot of pathing, and like I said earlier, Talose is really good at blocking pathing. But Elcaroman, you know, he still has an offensive push over here. Look, he's still outnumbered, but like he's still a little, you know, dispersed. But he's got more properties. Look, 4K income advantage, and he's about to have the double comm tower. So in this situation, Elcaroman's definitely going for the long game. I'll hammer this home. Elcaroman is like, if I can make this last past 20 turns, I've won this game. And Talose, on the other hand, is like a ticking time bomb. He's like, I need to win this now. If I don't win this now, I'm completely screwed. So it's kind of like that yin and yang right now. So Elcaroman is going to have a big income advantage. He's going to get 2 more properties. Probably have like a 6, 7, 8K income advantage. So Talose has to act very quickly, and Elcaroman smartly invests in big tech to make sure that nothing gets on that HQ. You need to make sure nothing stucks on that HQ. So Elcaroman doing pretty good job right here. Talose waits for the prime tactics, which I appreciate. 1-hit KO right there, even without the comm tower. 1-hit KO from the forage. You love to see it. But a Neo tank, takes 2 damage from that copter. Takes 2 more damage from that copter. Good fire back though. I mean, the 40%, 50% with that attack is nothing to sneeze at. Boom! Oh. But it's alive. Will it live? If that Neo tank dies, Talose plops an infantry out there. I don't see any way Elcaroman can stop that. So, is it going to come into a luck roll? Attacks, but the Neo tank lives. Elcaroman was probably sweating right there. Sweating. But look at this. There's 3 units. And like one of them's completely pretty much dead. Oh my goodness. This is a lot of scary units. And this infantry, okay, this is getting dicey. Talose, if I'm Talose right here, I suicide this anti-air to kill off these close infantry. Like, first things first, kill that thing. You need to buy some time. I wouldn't be surprised if Talose does that. So, pretty strong over it. Yep, got a suicide. You got to kill all these infantry off. Weaken them as much as possible. Yeah, he's only targeting infantry. He doesn't care about tanks at all. He's just trying to buy time. Smart move by Talose, very heads up. A lot of time, it's not about the value you get, but preventing what happens in the future. Preventing caps of the base of the HQ is a lot more important than, say, winning an engagement with a tank on tank. Like, who gives a shit if you lose because of it? Also, getting on the base, but Elcaroman will get a base block here. He will be able to stop that base. So, man, this is getting close. So, Elcaroman uses terrain tactics. Interesting. I guess to get, I don't know why he did. I guess more defense for the Neo tank? I believe that anti-air will kill the copter regardless. So I don't quite, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that didn't matter. I don't quite understand that reason. I don't know what Elcaroman's doing with the, I guess he thought he could 1-hit KO this medium tank with 3 to 4, but Talose has a super and that has 20% defense. That's not going to 1-hit KO. I do not agree with that power right there. I think you should save that. And that's not a 1-hit KO either. Like, they didn't really get him anything. I probably would have, like, killed this tank rather than weaken that tank, because that's still going to be a blocker no matter how much HP it has. So, builds another medium tank. Completely invested over here. We got Battle of the Big Beefy Boys. 2 Neo tanks, a medium tank, and an anti-air versus a bunch of weakened copters, infantry, and tanks, and nearly dead medium tanks. So this is going to be interesting. Like I said earlier, Talose's forte, blocking unit pathing, just in general unit positioning. So Elcaroman's got to be sweating. I don't think we can see the time here, but I think they're both below 2 minutes at this point. So it is honestly like, it is dire times right here. Kills the medium tank. I guess that makes sense. Really needs to kill that Neo tank. Does kill it. Full HQ cap right there with an infantry. Now I need to start blocking. Gets everything positioned. Kills off some infantry just in case. Like this. 1, 2, 3. 4 turns and Elcaroman wins. 4 turns. But this is a little like Tetris puzzle going on over here. So Elcaroman first kills off this infantry. That is needed. The thing here, I don't think that kills. You have, okay, so 20%. 10% from the planes, 30% firepower, 5 to a 9. Now, let's see. Oof. You know what the funny thing is? If he had used his normal power right here, that would have died 100%. That would have died. That would have died. If he used his normal power, an extra 10% damage right there, that would be dead. And then this medium tank would probably do 6, 7 damage. Build another Neo tank, or actually maybe at this point an anti-air. Yeah, but that cost him. That flimsy little power the turn before didn't make much sense. It didn't guarantee anything else. I didn't quite understand it. Let's see if we can break down both of these guys' stats. So Elcaroman definitely was ahead, I believe, most of the game. Built more units. Definitely had more. Oh no, he actually had more deaths than I thought. Or no, they were both pretty even. But my God, that Talose was losing. I think if it wasn't for all this like jumble stuff over here, like Elcaroman is ahead by 3,000, soon to be 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 in terms of capping. Elcaroman has both comm towers. He's gonna win this side over here, but man, sometimes you want to save those powers. Like, I think the theme of this video is saving your powers. Like, Elcaroman kind of rushed his first superpower. Talose was more patient with it, and I think it was a lot more useful. And then the second power also didn't really make much sense. I felt Elcaroman outplayed Talose in terms of positioning, like, on the outsides over here. And, like, going for the long game, I really appreciate that. I think he did a better job with that. But Talose played with, like, a fire and intensity where he just went for the throat. And he used his, his strength of positioning units and blocking pathing, as well as his powers that were timed much better than Elcaroman's. And I think that was the basic difference right there, the usage of powers. Like, imagine if Elcaroman saved his super, plopped his 8 HP Neo tank on there and just, like, used the super now or the turn before or turn later. Like, you wouldn't be on the HQ and you plop the other Neo tank here. You have a free path from the base to there. And then you will win this side. Like we said earlier, like, probably 4 more turns, Elcaroman would win. He would probably kill off all these units and cap with this infantry right here. So 4 more turns. And I think he could have bought those 4 more turns if he had just saved his superpower over here. A lot of, like, of course Elcaroman's a high-level player, but a lot of lower-level players, like I said earlier, spam your power because you're like, if I don't use my power, I'm not getting charged. Like, it sucks not actively getting charged. I get that. But it also sucks losing from using a power inadequately, not at the right moment. It's kind of like a silo. There's a bell curve. Like there's a sweet spot to use the power. You don't want to just immediately pop it unless you're like global damage. Then it makes sense. Yeah, if you're global damage, you just pull the trigger. That's why everyone loves Drake and Eagle and all that. I mean, Drake and Hawk and Olaf and stuff. You just pull the trigger. There's no thought in it. It's very baboon brain. Just like, yeah, whatever, let's go. But Eagle, especially Andy, healing when you heal, Lash, there's a lot more thinking that goes into these COs. That's why, some people struggle with these COs because there's a lot more thought that goes into their powers. So I was impressed though. I think Elcaroman definitely played up to the competition. He was definitely a lower seed because Talose is probably, I think, the number 2 seed, maybe behind Dead FS in this whole tournament. So ultimately Talose did win this and move on to the semifinals. I don't want to ruin anything. I'm not reviewing any more on the tournament. I'm going to keep spoilers away. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this new, interesting game. Another standard game. I hadn't done standard in a while, so I decided to do 2 in a row. Also with Missile Silos, I probably won't do Missile Silos ever again. But, if something exists, you kind of want to know about it. You see it in the campaign. You do it in the cartridge with your friends. But I just want to show it in Advanced Wars competitive play, how it can alter the game. Ultimately, usage of Missile Silos didn't really alter the game all that much. I mean, it killed like maybe a tank or 2 for each side, like weakened it. Like, congrats. I think they kind of canceled each other out. Elcaroman went for the early capture of the silo, and that failed. So, Missile Silos didn't really play a huge role. Didn't really matter that much. It ultimately came down to a 2-base in airport versus 1-base. Who can base rush faster? Who can block pathing faster? And Talose ultimately could. So, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.